Our theme tonight is From Laughs to Lasting Impact, which of course is one of the things that we try to do with this club is to show how to people how to bring lasting impact through adding humor and storytelling to their speeches. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Uh, it doesn't look like Mary's going to make it, does it?
No, Mary's not going to make it.
Okay, well then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, our first speaker tonight.
Hey, Emmy,
Yes.
I need times for the speakers.
Okay, that's right. And I forgot to have you show your signs
I
anyway.
am 5 to 7.
Kyle's 5 to 7. And are you the second one or the first one?
First one.
Kyle's the first one,
Yes.
5 to 7.
I'm 5 to 7 as well.
Okay, and Cynthia, and is there any more? Or is it just the two?
Well, Karen will be speaking, doing
Oh,
the education session. How
during
long are you taking, Karen?
Mine
how
is
long?
30.
30
30.
minutes.
So what do you want for your signs for red, green, red,
20, 25, and 30.
20, 25, and 30? Okay, got it.
Thank
Thank
you.
And
you. I
all
just
of our
needed this.
evaluations,
Will
the
be 3 to 5.
evaluator gets 3 to 5 for themselves and then 3 to 5 for round robin.
Okay.
All right. So to kick us off, we have Kyle Hall doing a Pathways Presentation Mastery Speech Level 1 Icebreaker. Only it will be 5 to 7 because it's also a contest speech. In preparation for contest season, Kyle is trimming down and tuning up a speech he has shared with us in the past. Please give careful thought to how this speech can be further trimmed without losing laughs, as Kyle Hall tells us about being clueless. Kyle Hall.
There are two types of men in the world. There are men who say they can understand women and men who tell the truth. I'm the latter. I'm clueless. I discovered I was clueless very early on in life. It was Sunday morning, around 10:30 in the morning, and just after church got out, I was in Sunday school. That was something we did every week. I was sitting across the table from Amy. There's a bunch of kids. We're all about 6 years old. Now, I didn't think anything of that at first week, second week. About the third week, I started to really notice Amy. I had feelings. I don't know what they were, but I had feelings. I didn't know what to do about it. I couldn't talk to Amy about it. I mean, she had girl germs. I couldn't talk to my parents about it. I mean, what would they know about feelings? I didn't know. I think now it was a crush, but I didn't know what a crush was then. I'd never felt one. I didn't know what to do about it. And I went home kind of agitated at the end of that day. The next week I came back in not thinking about it, but there was Amy again. And I started having more feelings. Well, I pulled up my courage and I wormed my foot. I wormed my foot across the floor and I pressed my foot up against Amy's foot. Now, she was very cool. She didn't look at me. She didn't smile. She didn't do anything. She just kept her foot there. And I pressed my foot up against hers and she didn't move hers. And that was enough. That was enough for that day. That was that was enough for me. I could go home happy. Next week, I did the same thing. I summoned up my courage. I pushed my foot against hers, and she just left hers there. Again, playing it cool. I went home happy. Third week, Well, the third week, I pressed my foot against hers, but then the teacher was doing something different, and we had to go up and write on the blackboard. Well, it was Amy's turn, and she went up and she wrote on the blackboard, and while she's doing that, my foot is still pressed against hers. How is that possible? Well, I subtly snuck a peek under the table. I'd been playing footsie with the table leg for 3 weeks. Ugh. The only thing that saved us from being complete humiliation was Amy didn't know, and I hadn't been playing footsie with Bruce, who sits next to her. I'm clueless, but I'm teachable, at least somewhat. And I learned an important lesson in my sophomore year of high school. I was walking into high school in the morning before classes had started, and kids were milling about in the corridor and whatnot, and I heard slap, ow! And I saw my friend John holding his face and staggering down the hallway. And behind him was Tammy at her locker, enraged. Well, I knew John. John had probably been an ass and probably deserved the slap. But I'd never seen Tammy enraged. I went over to make sure she's okay. Tammy, are you okay? Are you okay? What happened? Oh, I was so angry at him. I was so angry at him. We were talking and he said I was a girl. I'm not a girl. I'm a woman. And all the while we were talking, he just kept staring at my chest. So I slapped him. Now, as I said, John can be a bit of a jackass, and he's probably been slapped before, and he'll undoubtedly be a jackass and deserve to be slapped in the future. But I did have a certain sympathy for his plight. See, I too was a young male, clueless about women, and suffering from adolescent hormones polluting my bloodstream, making unicorns seem more common than intelligent thought. And Tammy was an intelligent, energetic, vivacious, and curvaceous young woman. And on that particular day, if I may, she was also daring. She was wearing an outfit that was tighter and lower cut and more revealing than most students and I think adults would have been comfortable wearing in a school. That what she was wearing was more than, well, actually less than I was comfortable with. So all while Tammy was talking to me about how appalling John's behavior was, I was trying to be supportive, but I was afraid that I might make John's mistake. So I tried to make supportive sounds like, yep, John's an ass. But it's hard to have a conversation while all the time in the back of your head, you're thinking, don't look down, don't look down. My eyes were fighting a battle with gravity. Don't look down, must make eye contact. Well, my exhausting battle of gravity was ended by the school bell telling us we had only moments to get to class. Tammy, I'm sorry. I know John's a jackass, and he probably deserved the slap. But I gotta go. I have to get to my locker to class. And she said, "Oh, that's okay. Thanks." And she bounced off. I was stunned. A minute ago, Tammy was this enraged Amazonian warrior ready to rip John apart, and now she's a happy cheerleader. How did that happen? Could it be because I listened to her and agreed she was a woman and made eye contact? Could it be that easy? Nah. Madam Toastmaster.
That was fun. Oh gosh. All righty. I'll just take a few minutes to get back to normal here. I don't know why I was sympathizing with you. I was never a young man. All right. Hmm. Do we need to give a minute in between? No, I didn't think so. All right. So, our second speaker tonight. Oh, we are so blessed today to have some fun speakers. Our next speaker is Cynthia Sanderson, and she is working on her engaging humor pathway, level 1, evaluation and feedback, the second speech. So she gave her speech last time, and she got to put all of our advice into play. Let's see what she's done with that. Cynthia is retelling her speech she gave last time, incorporating the feedback of the club so kindly provided. Cynthia has been a member of Postmasters since 2013 and is working on her second DTM. Her speech recalls several adventures with her sister. Here is Cynthia Sanderson with her speech entitled Frenemies. Cynthia.
Thank you. Driving down a dark center lane of the freeway, wedged between two semis in the pouring rain, water drenching over the Plymouth Arrow. I, a newly minted driver of 3 months, and my then 13-year-old sister were coming back from Tacoma to Olympia late Christmas Eve. Our parents had just separated, and we were starting the many strange separate holidays we would face. We started out in Mom's Cutlass Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, but I hit a curb hard enough to puncture the tire, and we ended walking back to my aunt's house. My dad let me take his car back. My sister's It didn't help that I was crying the whole way home. My sister's confidence in my driving hit an all-time low that 43 years later, I still haven't compensated for. She still insists that she drive wherever we go. Fellow Toastmasters, friends, and guests, did you ever think it was a minor miracle that you survived your childhood with the help of siblings? Trisha is not my only sibling. I have two others, but she is the one closest to me in age, and she knows the good, the bad, and the ugly about me. Once, when we were 3 and 6 years old, we visited my grandparents' farm. They owned sheep. They had a number of lambs that were orphans, and all of us girls got to go feed those orphan lambs milk. My two older sisters, Debbie and Tammy, got into the pen and were feeding the sheep. Trish and I were resting our hands up against a fence. Well, the sheep were rather eager for milk, and one banged against the fence on that Trish and I were standing. Both of us took off running, screaming for bloody murder. I was running as fast as I can. I looked back behind me, and she's passing me up, screaming louder. My sisters Debbie and Tammy were laughing their butts off. Tricia, in her haste to get out of there and run towards Mom, beat me. That is family lore to this day. The time that Tricia outrun Cynthia and left her for lamb fodder. Nothing says bonding quite like being forced to spend the longest summer of your childhood on your Aunt Margie's resort in Joes Valley, Utah. our family was moving from Kalispell, Montana to Olympia, Washington, and my Aunt Margie said that she would take my sister Trisha at age 9 and me at age 12 back to Utah with them so my parents could focus on the move. Oh, it will be fun, she said. You'll have a great time. Yes, two poor city girls working their butts off, getting cabins ready for the season opener. Part of the fun was a horseback ride up doing a cattle drive. Now, there is a myth out there that preteen girls love horses. Well, Trisha and I did not get that memo. We don't like. It started out okay, just a tame little ride on just a trot up the mountain with two tame mounts. Then our cousin Mike and Phil went after a recalcitrant calf, and Trisha's horse decided to go along for the ride. It wanted in on the fun, and it followed, regardless of whether Trisha wanted to or not. What are you doing? My cousin Mike said. Trisha goes, I don't know. I've never ridden a horse before. So Trisha got up on the back of the horse with Mike, and they tied her horse to the supply wagon. I was left alone with this rather uncooperative beast who would rather eat grass, lag behind, and generally ignore my instructions. All I got for my fun was a sunburn and sore thighs. Trisha got a crush on Mike. In fact, I had to tell her you couldn't marry your first cousin. Ah, siblings, they are your best friends and worst enemy. They honor what makes you you and what makes you tick, and they are the people who can most get you from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. They're your first friends in life and perhaps your last friends in life. While it may be a minor miracle that we survived childhood as each other's sidekick, I wouldn't want to go through life without her. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Cynthia. Well done, well done. All righty. Now we come to the fun part. Another fun part. Because we get to do our evaluations of our speakers now, and I'm so curious to hear what everyone is going to say. Do we need a few months? A few months. Kyle, you need a few months. Our evaluators. Oh, Phil's still laughing. He can't evaluate
I'll see
anyone.
you
He's
in
still laughing.
January.
Okay. Our first evaluator. Oh, I need to introduce our general evaluator. However, since Cynthia is also the general evaluator, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Phil so he can evaluate Cynthia. So Cynthia's evaluator. Oh no, you're Kyle's, right? Okay. Darn it, I too many months went by. I can't remember. So Phil is going to give Kyle an evaluation now. Are you ready, Kyle?
Are you ready, Emmy?
I'm getting out of the way. Somebody get me out of the way. There we go.
First of all, I really want to commend Emmy on injecting humor into the speeches tonight, and she's got me rolling on the floor. So, Well done. You caught me off guard though a little bit. Kyle, I didn't go down the speech evaluation form for the icebreaker because I know you're developing a contest speech. So I took a little bit different approach, and hopefully you find it helpful. I'm going to look at three things. Well, actually four. The how you open your speech, how the body developed, how you closed it, and then what will I personally take away from your speech, and perhaps what others as well. So on the opening, what I noticed is that you did a great job on telling me what you were going to be talking about, and you did catch my attention, like previous speeches, with the phrase "there's men who tell the truth," or "there's men that say they know about women, and then there's men that don't tell the truth," and that you're in the latter. So that catches, I think, my attention, and it will be an attention grabber for the audience in the future. But then I asked, well, where exactly are we going on this? And the conclusion I came to is we're going to hear about Kyle's clueless activities in life. My question to you right now, if it's okay, is where did you want me to think we were going with your speech? What did you want me to prepare to hear? What kind of things?
Well, so I didn't make this clear in the intro, but this is not intended to be an international speech contest speech. It's intended to be a humorous speech.
Humorous speech.
I'm
Okay.
just going for the laughs.
Going for the, okay, perfect. Okay. Good, because I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will keep that in mind for the rest of my evaluation. Perfect. Still, you were still, so this you wanted to, and in that case, I think you did a great job on setting us up for hearing some funny stories. Because I did pick up right away, it was very clear that we're going to hear about how Kyle is clueless. There's a good alliteration there, actually, too. I don't know if you did that intentionally, but Kyle is clueless is a great alliteration technique. And we heard about Amy and the foot of your playing footsie with the foot of the leg of the table. That whole story is humorous. I think the real chuckle for me came with the phrase about Bruce, who sat next to Amy. Okay, that's the rest I could see coming, but the Bruce part was a good catch. In your second story, high school lessons, I think most of us have high school lessons of similar, at least that we can relate, because everybody has had a story like that in high school or.
Phil, you frozen. Maybe we frozen for him. Phil, you frozen.
Oh, there he is. There, we got you back.
Am I
Yeah, you're
back? Okay, so where did I leave off?
We all had similar high school experiences.
Yeah, high school or junior high where we are fighting against nature, and that is relatable, I think, and definitely got me a chuckle out of me several times during that episode. I think your phrase on your eyes fighting a battle with gravity is a great catch, a good line for a chuckle and for keeping us interested. And also I thought it was interesting or humorous phrasing that your friend, I don't even remember what her name was. What was her name? Tammy. When she bounced off, after all of this, she bounced off, and I just had this image in my mind of seeing this young lady bouncing off into the future, into the sunset, so to speak. Then on the wrap up, it was, I gotta say, it was a little abrupt. I don't know if that's because the timer, you were looking at the timer. I felt like it was like, oh, speech is done. I'm not quite ready to be done yet. That's what I felt like. I wanted to hear a little bit more and then kind of ease out the door kind of idea. And that felt a little abrupt to me. Although the stories were humorous, and now that I'm clued in on that, I'll be a lot as I was entertained, and I think it could be a great winner for a humorous speech contest. With that, I'll open it up for round robin.
And we just lost our timer.
Oh,
Oh,
I saw
darn.
she had yellow up, so I must have been close to red. Emmy,
Okay. Couple of things just as you went through your speech, Kyle. I've heard this a lot of times, and so that doesn't always have the same stories. So I really enjoyed this. There's a few things that I think you need to work on. One was you were when you were talking about Amy, you started introducing the story about Amy, and you kind of just couldn't quite make up what to say. It was like you were chewing words, you know. It's like, okay, you weren't quite ready for that one. uh, then you had a phrase where you used kinda. You were kind of upset or you were kind of something. I can't remember what it was, but kinda isn't really a word. So somewhat would work, or find another word there besides kinda. Uh, I loved when you wormed your foot across the floor. That was fun. And playing Tootsie with the table legs. The and I thought the phrase unicorns were more common than intelligent thought at this period of young men's lives, you know.
Did that work?
It did for me.
Okay.
It was a surprise, you know, one of those thoughts that didn't go, that took a left hook, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, then I really enjoyed the physical part of looking back and forth like this. Well done. That really was nice. So you've got some really great things here. I think you could tighten it up a lot. Like you haven't practiced your changes very much, but I think this is well on the way. Good job. Anybody else? Karen.
Thank you, Kyle. I've heard this before, and it was funny then, and I think even more humorous this time. I do feel it was entertaining, and there were definitely laughs. I was watching the audience, and there were a lot of laughs and chuckles throughout. So I think that was very well done. I just have one recommendation. I would recommend that you use a different word than jackass. I think that that could potentially offend or be considered swearing from some people. Maybe jerk would be a little bit kinder, but still get the point across. That would be my only recommendation for that. But I do like this version, and I think it is funny and it does entertain. So thank you for sharing.
I wondered about Jackass too. Uh, I liked I thought it was a good speech. I was waiting to hear another third story, but I know you were out of time. But all in all, it was good.
Well, we lost our timer, so what do you think, Phil?
Well,
I think we're
I've
pretty
been
close.
timing it. We're at 3:30 for
Oh,
the round robin.
Oh, okay. And we got 3 to 5. Is that right?
Yeah.
okay.
Could I offer one other thing, Kyle? Is I think in my experience that even with humorous speeches, even though the intent is not inspirational like the International Speech Contest, the most humorous, memorable humorous speeches are speeches that somehow have this underlying current of here's what I want to share with you that you'll take with you that
Mm.
is more than just funny, more than just entertaining. And it will, because it's shrouded in good humor and good storytelling, it doesn't come across as preachy.
Right.
But the really successful ones are somehow there's that foundational message that the speaker is trying to share with the audience. So that would be my last comment. Oh, Emmy.
One more thing. I'm with you there, Phil. But I'd like to say to Kyle that, you have told this with your wife in mind before. And if you just added like one line at the beginning and then at the end said something like, and my wife thanks me, or something, that I've learned my lesson. Something like that might might just pull that all together.
Time's up.
Great. Thank you, Phil. And Cynthia, do you want to take over as GE here and introduce our next one, or shall I go ahead?
Go ahead, please.
Okay. So our next evaluator, actually, evaluating Cynthia. This has worked out so strangely. We all get to play together very nicely. We play together well, don't you think? Kyle will be evaluating Cynthia. Go for it, Kyle. Oh, do we have somebody who can time the evaluation?
I'm running a timer here, but if
Oh,
somebody
you
else
are.
wants to time, that would be great. Um, okay, so I haven't had as much time as I would like to think about this, but I have some uh, comments, some things I think you did well, and some suggestions. I remember this speech, and I think this version is an improved version, so I think it's getting better. I would like to help you continue to improve it. The I'm going to deal with this chronologically as opposed to sandwich technique, because you have had this evaluated before, and you started out. Your opening was thank you. Get rid of the thank you. Launch into the story. Um, you might, well, yeah, you might want to acknowledge a contest. If you're going to do this in the contest, you might want to acknowledge the contest chair at some point. But I think launch into the story, and launch into a big part of the story. You told about the cutlass, but the adventure in the rain between the trucks was a different car. And I'm not sure there was any value in talking about the cutlass other than the fact that your sister's confidence was your sister's confidence in your driving was slightly eroded by that. If you go into more detail on the driving between the two semis in the rain, I think that would have enough panic to justify your sister's opinion of your driving. So I would take out the cutlass altogether and just you and your sister are there. You're driving down the road. The rain, you really have to take a moment to get into the sheer panic of being in a tiny car between two 18-wheelers barreling down the road in the rain. And that needs a strong word picture of both the physicality of it and also what's going on inside your head. And maybe and it wouldn't hurt if you could role play a little bit between you and your sister. Her sitting there going, or looking at you like, and you
And then
with your hands up, eyes, really tense, glued there, because if you take out the cutlass stuff, you have the time there to do that.
Yes.
I'm not sure I apologize. I wish I had more time to think about this. I'm not sure that the explaining explaining about the divorce and the many trips back and forth added any value to the situation. I mean, you and your sister were driving home from your mom's house to your dad's house, or your dad's house to your mom's house, and that's pretty much all we need to know. And then you go through this horrific scenario. Um, you uh, you said you were crying, but you didn't explain why you were crying. I don't know if that was because you had a bad visit with your father, or you were crying because you were scared. You didn't say why you were crying. So that was a little confusing. So that's your first story, is the car. Second story, sheep farm. Um, you told that well. You gave I think more detail than last time. I really liked the "she left me for lamb fodder." It's not a phrase you hear very often. Um, the thing that's going to be funny though, or at least the thing for in my head is you're running away, you're scared, and then your sister's buzzing by you, and I got to imagine that in some part of your head it's like she's going faster than me, she's leaving me behind, I'm lamb fodder, you know. Develop that way, you know, she's leaving me for the um so the letting us know what's going on in your head is one of the biggest sources of humor. um when you go to your Aunt Margie's, I'm coming up on 5 minutes. When you go to your Aunt Margie's, there's a great opportunity for dialogue between you and your sister while the two of you are cleaning, while the two of you are getting on horses, while the two of you are looking at each other. How do you make this thing go? I don't know. You know, there's a great opportunity for some dialogue there. And you can role play your sister and role play you. So I would encourage you to do that. I'm going to open it up for round robin now, and I'm going to restart the timer. So, Emmy.
Oh, I loved there's some great opportunities in here. Cynthia, very fun. I think it might be useful to open with, you know, your siblings know all about you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, or however you want to do it. But I think that would make a great opener of the whole thing because it's really starting us down that path. And I also, the lamb didn't just bang against the fence, he butted the fence like a goat, butt the fence. I think that would be great. Um, and I particularly liked the myth that all preteen girls love horses. I think you could be a little more deadpan on that or something, just, I can't believe people think this, something along, that makes us feel that. Um, and then, of course, how uncooperative they are. But anyway, lots of potential in this kiddo. Just need to really talk it through many, many times so it just comes easily. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Anyone else? Um, the one of the other things, one of the other comments I was going to make was, you told us you were screaming. I think it's when you and your sister were running away. You told us you were screaming, so you narrated screaming. Don't narrate screaming.
Scream.
Scream. Yeah, yeah. Now, we're online. You can't run. If you were on stage, run across the stage screaming, and then turn around and run back the other way and watch your sister go by you, leaving you as lamb fodder. And so the physicality of it will add to the humor of it. It's hard. That would be hard to do online, but you could still scream. Any other comments for Cynthia? Phil?
Um, I was not, honestly, Cynthia, I wasn't paying as close attention to your speech because I was trying to write out Kyle's comments. I will say, though, that your line about lamb fodder was so good that I remembered it, even though I was only half listening to your speech. That line is an excellent line, as is the whole all teenage girls love horses. I didn't, I still, I don't know what the context of that line was, but even in my half aware state, I picked up on that. And the lamb fodder, I grew up in a farm area, and it made me laugh out loud when I heard you say that, even though I didn't really understand what the context of it was. But I heard you say my sister left me for lamb fodder. So that's how good I thought that particular line was.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I really think it's break time.
Okay. So my evaluation's over. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
We just look so much alike, you can't tell us apart. Yeah, I think we're going to take a little break here. I'm going to go get some water. I don't know what you guys are going to do, but
Okay.
we are right on time. I want you to know the break was supposed to be 7:14. It was 7:14 10 seconds ago. So let's go take a 5-minute break. Come back at 7:19. Time to get back on track here. Are we ready? Everyone got their water or whatever they need?
So
Okay.
I'm not sure where you're at, Emmy, so let me know if there's something I need to time. Now that
Well, you're going to need to time Karen because that's what's up next.
Okay. And
Okay.
I got down 20, 25, and 30 for Karen, so, okay.
All right.
And hopefully I won't freeze again.
Well, welcome back, everyone. And we're ready to continue on with our education section here. And our leader for this section will be Karen McNamara. She's working on her persuasive influence pathway and the level 3 elective Connect with Storytelling. Okay. This is oh gosh, this is going to be so much fun. Have you ever listened to a keynote that moved you, made you laugh, made you tear up, and thought, how did they do that? Tonight's speaker knows that secret. She has spent years helping audiences discover how the right blend of story, humor, and heart turns a good speech into a great speech. She's a distinguished Toastmaster, leadership consultant, and believes a story told with laughter can change the way people listen, lead, and heal. Please welcome Karen McNamara, DTM, presenting Once Upon a Laugh, the art of the story-driven keynote. Karen.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about keynotes, humor, and story. I feel honored to be here. Okay, now that's how not to start a keynote. Never open with, "Thank you for having me," unless you want the audience to never invite you back. Perhaps a better way to begin would be something like, "The words that came from his lips had everyone speechless." simple, clear, emotional, can instantly connect with the audience, and they want more. The lesson here would be that a powerful keynote opening doesn't introduce you, it introduces emotion. Today, we'll explore how to blend story and humor to transform a good talk into one that people remember, quote, and perhaps share. By the end of this session, you'll know how to shape personal stories that resonate, add humor that enhances your message, balance heart, humor, and purpose, and polish your delivery so that it sticks. At the very end, Kyle will post a handout so you don't need to worry about taking a lot of notes. Let's begin with shaping your personal story. Stories truly are the heartbeat of your keynote. So I recommend that you keep an idea list on your phone, your notebook, your handwritten papers, whatever it is that you have at the ready, where you can write down ideas when they pop up. You might hear funny things that your kids said, and you think, oh my gosh, that's a great story. Or what about those awkward moments? There can definitely be a speech there. Kyle gave us some examples to that. Mistakes, small victories. Life writes the material for you. I keep a list, and I actually even categorize it. I have my dreams, I have my humor, I have my military time, my travel, all kinds of things, just little ideas. And then I develop my speeches as time goes on and have them fully written out. But that allows me to, at the ready, pull up ideas when I have an opportunity to speak. But when you're picking your stories, it's important to pick them so that they are related to your audience world, not just your world. So it's not just your story, it's one that makes sense to the audience as well. You want it to be, do you have an audience of Toastmasters, of youth, of seniors, engineers? What is your audience? And you want something that will relate to them. And then you want to look for the emotional component. What are the emotional truths? What drives fear, pride, failure, or joy? All of those emotions are things that audiences across all generations and around the world can relate to. Then once you pick a couple of stories from your list, you want to test them out loud, because they need rhythm, not just content. You need to practice and see if it resonates. Some examples of things you could do. Let's say for a leadership keynote, someone said, can you give me a leadership keynote? And I knew nothing more about the audience other than they were leaders. Didn't have a lot to go on. So I decided to get there early so I can be in the gathering area and listen. What are they chatting about? Are they upset? Are they excited? What's going on? What can I pick from what they're saying? So I might be listening and hear a lot of frustration about the drive and the traffic getting to that event. So I might open with something like this. I'm alive. I'm actually here. That's two things that my inner voice was denying as I sat there in that traffic jam waiting to get here. My anger, my anxiety grew as I realized my first lesson of the day: patience and grace. And then I could go on to incorporate patience and grace as leadership strengths. So I took and put the two groups, myself and the audience, in the same experience. I brought the emotions together because I was in that same traffic. I understood where they were coming from. And now they were no longer thinking about that, they were with me. And then they would listen. Or maybe I'd take a personal story. Say I had a group that liked the outdoors, liked to hike, liked to travel, liked to do different things outside. Then I might share about the time that I climbed Mount Fuji in Japan with the wrong shoes and 100 bees. Leadership lesson in that one: always check your equipment and your ego. That could also then lend into a good keynote about travel and outdoors and things that would matter to that group. What about humor? Humor is a really interesting component to any speech, and especially to a keynote. How many of you have said, "I'm not funny"? I have. But here's what I have learned. Humor is not about being funny. It's about being human. As Craig Valentine, a world champion of public speaking, said, "Don't add humor, uncover it." I love that. Don't try to add in humor, uncover the funny. Uncover what's funny about that situation. The best laughs come from recognition, when people think, "Oh my gosh, that's me. I'm right there. I am so right there with you. I have been there. I have done that." That's when they link. That's when the emotional connection happens, and we can then laugh together. It's also really important to understand your leadership style, or excuse me, your humor style. There's many ways of having humor. It can be slapstick, it can be self-deprecating, it can be in the moment impromptu. There's all types. I'm going to share a little bit about my three favorite, because I think it's important to work in your comfort zone when it comes to humor. If I'm out there trying to do all of these one-liners and forgetting my punchline, it's not going to be funny. Maybe the one time I missed the punchline, but after that, it's not funny because it's not my style. I like to use self-deprecating humor. I never want to knock somebody else down or say something negative about someone else, but I can sure talk about myself and the funny scenarios I've been caught in. I might say something like, "My Fitbit gave up on me halfway up the stairs." Or something along the lines of, "I'm so short," or "I'm so tall." You fill in the blank. When you talk about something about yourself that you can laugh at, others in that same scenario will be right there with you, laughing right along. Probably my favorite type of humor is what I would call observational humor. That's where you observe something that's funny, a funny situation, or you're in a funny situation and you share that. For example, have you ever noticed how quick meetings always outlast the coffee? Or have you ever noticed how technology always fails when you need it most. Oh man, I've been there. I've been there too many times. Another one that's fun to play with is word play. You can try something to add just a little strain of humor. Something like this can work if you're talking about a tough subject. Maybe something serious and you can tell everybody's getting dragged down and you just need something to sort of lift you up a little bit. You can use play on words. I might say something like, I told my suitcase there'll be no vacation this year. And now I'm dealing with emotional baggage. So you can see I'm adding just a little slice of humor when I need to break it up a little bit. Or maybe I'm getting ready to talk to a group about travel and vacation. This would be a great one-liner to use in a scenario like that, where you're talking about you don't ever want to miss that vacation. You don't want the emotional baggage, and you can go into it from there. There are several humor techniques you can use as well. One is the rule of three. And I think probably all of us have used that at some point. That's where you have two normal or expected things in a series, and then you surprise them with the third one. Some examples could be, I run for exercise. I run for fun. And I also run from awkward conversations. That could be a lead into crucial conversations. That could be a lead into difficult conversations when you're doing a keynote or a leadership training. Another one you could say would be something like, if you want to get something done, do it yourself, or give it to someone else to do, or tell your kids not to do it. And that one would relate well to a group of parents, whether they're parents of little kids or teens, because they've all experienced that. Another technique that I've demonstrated a little bit tonight, and something I use a lot, is the power of the pause. And also the power of the pause with a pun. The silence or the pause after a joke is where the laughter lives and where ears open. After a person laughs, they hear whatever you say next because you have them with you. So let them laugh. And as Kyle was talking about cutting his speech, because you don't want to cut off that laughter or that clapping, you want to keep it going, because after that, they're going to be hearing whatever it is you're going to say. So you can use that for your advantage with a key point, with a key laughter, with a key emotion. Keep that in mind. Use that pause carefully. Here's an example where you could use it with like a pun or a joke. The past, the present, and the future walked into a bar. It was tense. You see how I used the pause to reflect on the pun. Here's another one. A pun, a play on words, and a limerick walk into a bar. No joke. Or I could say, I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something. Each of those a little twist of humor that you can use at key points and practice and try it on friends. And did it work here? Did it not work here? And again, thinking of your audience, what works in one audience may not work in another audience because they're a different generation, they're a different time of life. It's just, you have to really be careful, and especially with humor, which is partly why I like to use self-deprecating or situational more than some of the other styles. Another thing you can do with humor is a callback. You can repeat a funny line or a phrase that you've used early in your presentation later, because it brings back immediate recall and can then emphasize a point. Humor is powerful. It relieves tension. It can even build trust. It boosts learning. And when people laugh, they listen. And when they listen, they remember. You can use that to your advantage. The other thing that is important when you're working on a keynote is that you use three components. You use heart, in other words, the emotion. You use some humor, and you also have a purpose. The best keynotes make you feel first and then think. So that emotion is kicked in with that open line about those words coming out of his mouth. And you felt the emotion. Now you think about it. If you mix a personal story with a laugh and a lesson, magic will happen. Here's an example where you could put all three together. I once personally froze during a contest speech. I'm not saying I forgot a word. I froze. I knew nothing. I couldn't speak. I didn't know my name. I went completely blank. Then I saw a friend in the audience smiling at me. I smiled back, and poof, my words returned. That moment taught me that connection, not perfection, created the magic. Now, don't ask me what I said in the rest of the speech, because I don't remember a single word that I said. But I'll tell you what I do remember. I remember hearing everybody clap. I felt that emotion and others wanting me to succeed. We remember the emotional truth more than the technical skill. So when you're planning your keynote, my recommendation is that you plan 3 core stories. Your first story is the grabber, the one that opens up with either emotion or laughter or both. It doesn't have to be long, it can be short, like the one-liner I gave as an example at the beginning. But you need to grab their attention. The second story needs to build and deepen your theme. What is the message you want them to take away? Have that second story really build on that. And then your final story needs to be the closer, the one that wraps it up with a call to action, a purpose, or a heartfelt punch. In order to pull this together and have a memorable keynote, you need to rehearse your opening and your closing. Rehearse the first line and the last line until they are absolute muscle memory. Begin and end with purpose, never apology. An example of a memorable repetition that you could bring in at the end could be something like this. Every stage of my life, I've had just one mission: to connect, to grow, and to lead. And tonight, that mission continues with you. Another way you could bring it to show humor and heart in a close would be, your audience won't remember your slides or your stats, but they will remember how you made them feel. And that time you tripped over your punchline. So, in conclusion, I want to say, stories are your superpower. Humor is your connector. When you blend the two, you create not just a keynote, but magic, a keepsake in your listener's memory. I'm going to say that one more time. Stories are your superpower. Humor is your connector. When you blend the two, you create not just a keynote, but magic, a keepsake in your listener's memory. Madam Toastmaster.
I was trying to write down that last thought, but I know you're giving us a handout, but I also know I'm your evaluator, so I'm writing like mad. That was truly amazing.
Karen's handout is in the chat.
Yes, okay, I'm downloading mine right now. There it goes. Okay, Karen, since I'm your evaluator, we're just going to jump right into it. So I want to say that was, for me, that was a tremendous presentation. I got so much out of that. It was well organized. You knew where you were going. You knew how you were going to get there. And you did a wonderful presentation of it. I particularly liked the way you started. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Don't ever say that.
And many of us have at some
yes.
point.
What was going through my head as you were saying what that was, oh no, you don't want to start it that way. But I got a big kick out of it because, of course, you don't want to start it that way. So well done. Way to connect with us as Toastmasters. uh, so first of all, you talked about how to connect with your audience that you have in front of you at that moment. And you showed us how we could do that even though we didn't know them. We could show up early and listen to what they are complaining about or what's really got their attention at this moment, and then work that into your opening. And I've heard you say that before, but for some reason it really struck me today. Uh, Maybe because of the problems we're having with flying right now. Most of our members are stuck somewhere. Where's Lee? I can't
Boston.
remember. Boston? Yeah. Lindy was
Trying
stuck
to
in
get back.
Alabama. Um, so many people are having problems with, yeah, the air traffic controllers. So that was a wonderful intro to where we needed to start. And then you told us what you were intending to do and had some wonderful tips for us, including the sharing your personal stories and getting a notebook and keeping track of ideas as you go throughout your day. I need to do that. I have ideas and I have little slips of paper all over the house. And then I can't find them. What was I going to talk about? Oh, I had such a great idea. And I can't remember it. Uh, I'm going to do that. I have a little notebook that goes with my calendar, but my calendar's, not always with me either. But around the house, I just need something I can stick in my pocket and carry with me. There are some other things. Oh, you gave us so many wonderful ways to connect with the audience and some reasons for doing it. For instance, the emotional components that bring them right into the story so that then they can enjoy the humor. If you have them with you and then you tell them something funny, it just sticks. And I really could connect with that pause. I do use pauses, but I often forget. And so when you're putting that pause in there for a strategic reason, so you gave us a reason to put that pause in there. If I could just find where I wrote my note about it, uh, the space that it leaves for them to laugh, but also for them to connect with what you said. So many times I've had people talk so fast that I could not register what they were saying until they're on to the next thought, and I'm still back here trying to figure out what they said. So I think a lot of these tips are so useful. But to me, the most important part of what you had to share was making that emotional connection with your audience. Uh, I know that storytelling is so important in making that connection, whether it's people you know or not. And sometimes they will connect so strongly with what you are saying, you can tell they're coming along with you because they're nodding their heads and they're just watching you so closely and being so focused. So you know you've got them with you. And then when you share something really important, like what elements to include in their leadership or whatever it is you're talking about, they're going to hear it. And then maybe have a little funny story in their own life that they'll remember that will connect to that. So I think you did a very powerful presentation there, and I thank you for bringing this to us. I can't wait to read my handout. So I'm going to open this up for a round robin. Does anybody else have anything they would like to share with Karen about her speech?
I'm going to jump in here. Karen, I think there's a lot of value in this. There's a lot of value in your content, and I appreciated it. I was taking notes on things I want to remember, but I want to share a few thoughts on how to make this even better. Like Emmy, when you started out the way you did, I was like, oh no. And then you said, but that's not what you want to do. But I think you need to make it bigger. You should make sure that you're saying thank you, and I'm honored, and do it very bland, like Stephen Wright bland, and then say, and then I'm honored to be here, and I can see you all, turn it into a joke,
Yeah,
make them
that's good.
laugh, and that will bring them out of it and say, that's not how you want to start out.
Right.
Yeah. The towards the end there, you were talking about stories being your superpower and humor being your connector, and I was thinking, this is ripe for a metaphor. If you're trying to connect with your audience, maybe it's a bridge connecting this side and that side. What part's the story? What part's the humor? Or something else. You can pick your metaphor, but my brain went to a bridge. But I was thinking, and if you choose that metaphor, you might want to bring it in earlier because it might help you building your presentation. But think about how humor and stories interplay and see if there is a physical metaphor you can bring up. Now, here's my biggest suggestion. You speak in a fairly sedate, controlled, precise way. And that's useful. But if you don't vary how you're speaking over time, it becomes difficult for the audience to maintain attention. You need to change the energy level of the presentation. Now, one of the classic ways to do that is tell a personal story. You're talking about, you're presenting ideas, but now support it with a personal story. So I needed a personal story a little earlier, and I needed more of them. One of the other classic ways of changing the energy level is humor. Now, you told us about humor and you gave us examples of humor, but you didn't really play humor on us in that sense. When you're giving us an example of a joke, we're not going to be as surprised as if you spring the joke on us, if you understand. One of the other classic ways of changing the energy level is to interact with the audience. Hey, tell me this. What do you guys think about that? I was watching a woman do this yesterday in a webinar. She did a little too much, but she was like, do you think this? Put yes in the chat. When, yes and no or whatever, or, put yes or no in the chat. Do you want to do this? Hey, when was the last time you saw a keynote? Put it in the chat. And you can interact with an audience in person, or you can interact with them on chat. Anyway, I encourage you to think about adding some of that to change the energy level throughout.
Thank you.
Bill, you just look like you have something to say.
Well, I have a question for Karen. It's not so much a suggestion or anything. During your presentation, on my screen, you're offset left a little. And I was wondering, is that intentional? Is that and what led you to that?
I think the reason I tend to do that is because of my background. I feel like if I'm sitting right in the middle, I don't know, somehow it divides the background weird. And so I usually sit right here when I use this background. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's kind of what I do. So I don't know.
I was wondering how that was working for you, and for me, it's okay. I think for me, now I'm thinking of what you just said, a little less pronounced would be helpful, probably, because one eyeball was off the screen for me.
Oh,
Oftentimes, and that's a little off. That's a little odd, but
that's funny.
But other than that, I think it could work, especially with the way your background, what the background you have. It kind of it adds to it, but yeah, not quite so much maybe. So there was something else I was going to share, but now I can't remember. Oh, when you said you keep your idea book with me, and just in my mind, it goes to maybe you remember the movie Night Shift with Henry Winkler and Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton goes, "I'm the big idea man." And I don't know why. Whenever I hear someone talk about their idea book, that's where my mind goes to the big idea man and Michael Keaton. So thanks. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Anyone else? It looks like we've used up our comments here.
I do.
Cheryl? Oh, good, Cheryl. Okay.
Karen, I've got to tell you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've listened to a lot of training and education sessions and all different things. I mean, in Laugh Lab, I mean, I've listened to all that people say the whole time I've been from the very beginning. Tonight, what you said, it was almost like you were speaking directly to me. It was like, oh man, I finally think this clicks and I got it. And I actually wrote, like Kyle said, he wrote some things down. And so I wrote a few things. I remember you saying, okay, I've got this handout. You don't really have to write notes so you can listen. Well, I listened pretty much all the time. And while I was writing, I really got my ear out and listened, you know. But because there's a few things I wanted to write down because I thought, okay, I don't want to forget when I get the handout that these things were important to me. I think you gave me some things that will help me to write a speech. I want to write somewhat about my life and somewhat about my journey with Toastmasters. I finally realized what Toastmasters has done for me personally and how it has changed my life. And so there's certain things I wrote down because I want to be a humorous speech. Because my life has been difficult. My whole life has always been difficult and everything. But I wanted Toastmasters to kind of explain why I can see my whole life coming to who I am today. And you really helped me a lot. I appreciate it. Just a little quick thing. I don't know if any of you are on Facebook with me, but my sister gave me a newspaper article, just a little tiny thing. As I was 6 years old and I was sitting on the floor with no shoes on and a little dress. It was funny. I had a little dress on and no shoes. And there was a lady sitting next to me and she was a Elks physical therapist. And she was helping me do exercises. I was 6 years old, and somebody took a picture. It might have been from the Elks Association, but they had traveling physical therapists. And that totally just opened up my eyes too. My sister gave it to me yesterday. And that kind of made me realize I've got something here. And you helped me to get things that will piece it together. So thank you very much. You did an excellent job. I think I kind of got why you were sitting the way you were sitting that Phil was talking about. I I could figure it out, you know, but you did a good job. I agree with Kyle on some of the things about changing your voice a little bit on different, maybe, you know, you have stories and, you know, humor where you actually do humor because you're really good at humor. But thank you. I
Well,
appreciate
you
it.
know, and I usually do this kind of a presentation in person, and it's so much easier to change your volume and your tone and all when you're running around a room,
Yeah.
you know, and interacting with the audience. But we need to be able to do it both ways. That's really important. I appreciate the
Yeah, well, you
comments
did.
because you got me thinking about
Yeah.
ways of using story to give the examples a little bit better. Yeah,
Yeah. The things you
and
said were had the motion in it, emotion to make me realize, hey, wait a second. I finally think I start realizing what this is. And
yeah.
I'm just so thankful to you tonight. It was really great. So I'll turn it back over to, it was the Emmy that was doing,
GE, I guess.
yes, yeah, whatever. Thanks.
Yes, this has been a very interesting meeting. So I'll start with my meeting evaluation. I think we did remarkably well with limited resources today. And it was also, there was a lot of technical things that, you know, Phil froze, Elias got kicked off. We lost Cheryl for a while, but we still just kept right on going and made it work. So I'm give us some points for that. And yes, it would be lovely if we could get everybody back in the room again, and I'm sure we will next time. So, uh, all in all, I think it went very well. I would like to, at this point, find out if Elios can actually give us a little bit of feedback about the meeting, or if he is unable to do that or not. I'm watching the chat. Elios, do you have any comments? I don't see anything arriving here. Well, I'll continue. If I see anything, I'll let everybody know. Anyway, oh, whoa. Something came in. This is not
Said cool
necessarily
meeting.
a meeting. Pardon me?
He said cool
Oh,
meeting.
cool meeting. Oh, good. Great. Thank you, Elias. All right. I think we need to talk about next meeting a little bit. Kyle, do you have a
Hey, Emmy, can I
yes?
give Karen her time?
Oh, time. Thank you.
The others I'm not too worried about on evaluations and stuff, unless somebody wants to know how long they talked. But I want to give Karen her time just in case she's wanting to change this up or, make it longer or shorter or whatever. So your time was 22 minutes and 54 seconds.
All right. So you had a little more time to play with there, Karen, but
Yeah.